Most people ask, what is hospice? Historians believe the first hospices originated in Europe in the 11th century, around 1065. They provided refuge for travelers and care for the ill and dying. Today, hospice care is a type of care and philosophy of care that focuses on caring for the chronically ill, terminally ill, or seriously ill patients' pain and symptoms, and attending to their emotional and spiritual needs. It also includes caring for the family and friends of those who are ill and helping them with the grief that comes from the loss of a loved one. Hospice are those places of rest created for weary travelers and for those who know grief. Hospice describes those places where people can rest from whatever suffering and grief they might be going through. Hospice is where a husband can learn what to do for his wife who only knows intense, unbearable grief. Hospice is where a man learns that tears can be a gift. Hospice is where a father can go to learn what to do for his 9-year-old daughter who has just lost her little sister, her playmate, little buddy, companion, and best friend. Hospice is connecting with people who understand and know how to help. The Shuswap Hospice Society is helping our community. This is the story of a man who came to learn about hospice firsthand. It's about the journey of his family, and it's the story of a 6-year-old girl named Bernadette. She became a mentor to her dad, helping him learn some of life's best lessons and inspiring him to do things he didn't believe were possible.
I'm convinced that being a husband and father of 6 children is the best job in the world.
Mark Dansereau and his family live on Shuswap Lake, only a few blocks from a sandy beach in Blind Bay, British Columbia. Mark has been lucky enough to spend much time with his children at the beach, after work, playing in the sand, building sandcastles. When the unexpected storm came, Mark's family experienced devastation, fear, and sadness. They shed many tears.
The bittersweet surprise in all of this is the peace and joy that I felt. I've received love from so many. Have you ever left a community, a church, a job, and at your going away party, you really find out how many people love you, and you see how much they appreciate you? That was the surprise I felt through all of this. Sometimes it is only when we go away that we find out how much people really care. That's what I experienced with the illness and death of my daughter, Bernadette. The local church community in Blind Bay and in Salmon Arm were both very supportive. My co-workers in Minnesota donated 7 weeks of their paid vacation so that I could be at home with Bernadette. And the company that I work for donated another 7 weeks. When I found out the news, it brought me to tears.
Imagine being in one of the most difficult situations in your life. After the 5-hour trip to the Children's Hospital in Vancouver, you get the news that your 6-year-old daughter has stage 4 liver cancer. There is no cure. What can you do?
I'm the father of this beautiful child, and I'm powerless to protect her from this disease.
Who can possibly help Mark and his family get through what feels like an impossible situation? Fortunately, the Canucks Place Children's Hospice in Vancouver provided amazing support to Mark's family during their journey. After their stay at the BC Children's Hospital, Mark and his family spent a weekend at Canuck Place in one of the family suites. They have a nurse's desk and helpline available for families to call 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. The family then brought Bernadette back to their home in Blind Bay to care for her there.
Many times in the middle of the night, we would call Canuck Place and ask for help from the nurses, so we'd know what to do to help Bernadette.
Mark and his family had the help of their family doctor and so many other caring people during the 3 months that Bernadette was at home with them. Mark's family wants people to know that hospice is a place where we can all go for help to deal with the challenges of illness, death, and grief. The Shuswap Hospice Society is a not-for-profit volunteer organization that, since 1986, has provided compassionate, emotional support to the dying and the bereaved in the Shuswap. The Shuswap Hospice Society also supports those who are struggling to cope with death and the associated emotional realities of that process. The Society provides grief and bereavement support to the families and friends of those who have lost loved ones. Their services are provided free to anyone who needs them. Referrals can be made by anyone, for yourself or anyone you know.
I went to hospice after my husband Michael passed away of cancer in July 2016, and I waited about 4 months, and after that I really needed to have some help and support to deal with my grief, and most people around me were not able to help me or support me or kind of to get me forward to deal with it. The support that I received is when going to hospice, and the counselor will give you a roadmap to help you deal with your grief, give you the tools to try to go forward with your grief. The support on the background, knowing that even though after 2 hours the support group is over and you need to go home, to know that there's always a phone number you can call. There's always somebody on hand when you have a really difficult moment, and that support, it gives you comfort.
The Shuswap Hospice Society is a member of both the British Columbia and Canadian Hospice Palliative Care Associations and the British Columbia Bereavement Helpline. To supplement partial funding from the Interior Health Authority, the Society depends on donations and memorial gifts from the public and service organizations. This support is critical for the Society to continue to provide their programs and services to the communities of the Shuswap. The Shuswap Hospice Society provides trained volunteers for the visitation of patients with life-limiting illness, either in their home, in the hospital, or in facilities, and in partnership with a team of health professionals. They support the rights of all persons to receive consistent physical, emotional, and spiritual assistance to maintain individuality and dignity while facing illness and bereavement. They offer continuing grief and bereavement support to the families and friends of those who have lost loved ones through one-on-one or group sessions. They are integral members of the end-of-life palliative care team in the Shuswap.
Bernadette's illness and death were too big for me to handle. It brought me to tears, and it brought me to my knees. In this journey, I discovered what real prayer is. I discovered that it was only in being connected to my church community and through hospice and through many other of my neighbors and friends that I learned what love is.